Welcome back to the mid-morning talk show with myself, Nafeesa Dangor. Very, should we say, emotional session with our previous guest, Sharon Gherkin. We want to thank her for being so brave and coming on, irrespective of having COVID, to actually educate us about dyslexia. Another form of education is about, empowerment. It's that time where we have to give back and think about those people that are in less fortunate situations than us. And this is what Qurbani is also all about. But we've been speaking a lot about the AMA Qurbani program around the world. And today they're going to continue the discussion from a slightly different angle. AMA undertakes their Qurbani projects in villages and camps where they are already involved in other initiatives, such as providing water or orphan sponsorships. And to discuss more about that, we're going to be chatting to the regional manager of Africa Muslims Agency, Brother Hussain Choonara. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Nafeesa, shukran for having us in Saran Media this morning.
Yes, it's always a pleasure having to chat to you and get to see what sort of empowerment and upliftment and sustainability that you've been creating out there. So explain to me about the locations and what are you doing this year as far as the Qurbani is concerned. We're all very excited because every year Africa Muslim Agency seems to be taking people into a better place and a better space.
Alhamdulillah, shukran for those kind words. Allah accept from all of us and reward everybody in their efforts. This year the Qurbani efforts is under the slogan of, like you mentioned, sustain, sacrifice, and share. And what that means simply is that, with Africa Muslims Agency, since the inception of the agency, alhamdulillah, it's never been about, any of the projects that we do, it's never been about just the distribution of a hamper or just the distribution of, for example, in Qurbani, just the distribution of meat on Eid day. It's more than that. So, for example, in villages of Africa, when I explain that process, what it means is that in the villages of Africa, Qurbani is not just Eid day, it happened already. This process for us started already, and we bring about a sustainability to the villages of Africa. If you're in the village of Africa, you realize that the people there rear animals not for consumption. They rear animals for trade. They sell and buy necessities for their home. So we buy the animals from them, from the locals. And in some cases, we leave the animals with them and we give them money for buying the animals with them. So we're empowering them. And what they use the money for, basically buy more animals. So it's a sustainable project. In the same villages where Qurbani is done. Remember, the countries we were working right now, like Mozambique, like Malawi, like Lebanon, like Afghanistan, where we did Qurbani in Palestine, we're not just going there for Qurbani and leaving.
Yes.
We've got ongoing sustainable projects, meaning, like, for example, in Africa, we do water wells and boreholes and masjids. So at that masjid and boreholes that donor-sponsored, at those Islamic centers across Africa, those centers is where we will be doing the Qurbani. For example, in Afghanistan, where we do boreholes, where we run bakery projects, where we run orphan sponsorship programs, we'll be also adding on now the Qurbani program. Like we've been doing in the previous years in those countries. Same with Palestine. We had a full campaign in Palestine for Ramadan. We extended it during the conflict, and now Qurbani is happening. So it's a process, it's an upliftment of an area throughout the year. It's not just, yes, the bottleneck at the time of disaster needs to be released, and alhamdulillah, that's been done, but it's a sustainability of that area, and Qurbani falls part of that.
I absolutely love the idea of sustainability because I say that's something that it's one thing to hand something out to somebody, but another thing to create that empowerment, the upliftment, and the sustainability, because there you are creating empowered people that are going to empower others. So it becomes a chain of a circle of where people are starting to lift themselves up from the situation they were in initially. But let's just paint a little bit of a picture to our viewers out there about the types of situations you're dealing with on the ground. The reason I'm bringing this up is I want them to understand why is it important for them to actually go and do the Qurbani with Africa Muslims Agency due to the types of situations you have encountered on the ground going from one country to the other.
Nafeesa, many people ask us, okay, you're slaughtering in Africa, you're slaughtering in Lebanon, in Afghanistan, Yemen, all countries that are where there's absolute dire need. Which which one should we donate to? Which one? Where should? The answer is always donate where your heart correlates. What do you feel in your heart? Because I can share with you right now that in the Syrian camps, we've met families over the past few days. Actually, when you walk into those camps and you meet young children, maybe a few years old, and you ask them, what do they want and what do they yearn for? You expect them to say the world things, the big things. Some of them ask for sweets because they never had that. Some of them ask, when last did you eat meat? Well, they can't remember actually. And so that's the situation. So when you donate your Qurbani with AMA, first it's going to an area in need. We say that so often, sometimes I think we forget what that means. That an area in need, and let's take South Africa for a reason. We think Qurbani in South Africa, just down the road from where I am. This past weekend, I was here in an area called Bokmakiri, going from house to house to house, meeting families, understanding their situation. And it's amazing, just down the road, you don't have to go far. You walk into a home, and if you can call it a home, it's a cardboard shelter. And you meet maybe a grandfather and a grandmother with 6 grandchildren in front of them, and you ask them, what are you going to eat today? It's freezing. You can see I'm wearing a thick jacket. It's freezing. What are you going to eat today? And they say, we don't know. What are you going to eat tomorrow? We don't know. That's right here in South Africa. And you go to the next house, and you see a child that's autistic. He doesn't know how to deal with his situation. His mother's mentally challenged. The child is 14 years old, never left his room in years, beats his mother up. But the mother yet every day wakes up to look after that child. Qurbani with African Muslims Agency, you ask me the question, I'll give you the answer. It's more than just giving meat on a day of Eid. We never want to inculcate in anybody's mindset that in every area that we work in, that on Eid day, Qurbani with Amma is just receiving meat. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't get me wrong. If somebody asks me, why must I pay the price that you're offering compared to someone else? Alhamdulillah, again, wherever your heart feels is right, Allah accept it. There's nothing wrong with that. But we feel that with Qurbani is a sustainable project. It's about sacrificing. We know the Sunnah of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. So in part of our process is educating the people in Africa, educating the people in the villages, the Syrians and Palestinians, about why it's important to do this. What's the obligation behind it? What's the importance behind it? So it's an educational process as well that goes towards it. So it started long before. It's now currently in process where animals are being trucked to different camps in different villages. Right here in South Africa, preparation is being made. And of course, on the day of Eid is sacrifice. But it's also a festivity. It's a festival. Just like we want the feeling and emotion to be, just like how you and my, how we want our children to be. Enjoy. We go see the animals and we look forward to the day of Eid. The Eid day is a celebration of family. Of course, with COVID-19, we understand the limitations, but you get what I'm saying. It's an emotion, it's a feeling that we have. And that's the same feeling. For example, in the camps, we do an Eid festival. We don't just give meat to the families and that's it. We do an Eid festival for the orphans, for the widows, to feel the same spirit of Eid. So that's why, if someone asks me, why must I pay your price? Because Qurbani with Amma is more than just meat. It is a process long before. It's an education. It's about sustaining the people. It's about empowering the people and lifting the standard. So long beyond Eid Day, villages in Africa, refugee camps around the world is empowered beyond Eid Day. People are uplifted beyond Eid Day.
It's also about giving back their dignity to them. I mean, a lot of these people are just not even hand to mouth. They, like you were saying, they don't even probably know when their next meal is going to take place. So by you reaching out to them in that way, is giving them their dignity back. Do you agree?
We say, I think sometimes and like you said it quite so rightly. They don't know when the next meal is coming from. And I always have to remind myself whenever I say that, what am I saying? Like if I don't know when my next meal is coming from, what would be my state of mind? What would I think? What would fill my mind up? How am I going to feed my child today? Where am I going to eat? Forget tomorrow. Now, next meal. What do I have to do? There's no avenues outside. The world is in a changing environment. There's limited opportunities. What am I going to do? So this is the situation. Literally, people, and if you take care of that nourishment, you take care of that warmth, you take care of that food, people then can focus on other aspects about life.
Sure.
So yes, you fulfill your niyyah when you give your Qurbani with Amma. whether it's on behalf of yourself. And we always encourage, try and do one at home. With the world, it's in the world, it's COVID-19, it may not be possible. But if you can, for your family, do one. But then think about others.
Mm.
About others.
And I so agree with you, especially during this COVID-19 period. I think the situation has gotten a whole lot worse than what it was initially. And you find a lot of people that you didn't actually expect to be in that type of situation are now sitting in the situation where they don't even know where their second meal is coming from. So I love your idea about the sustainability project that you have created, because for me, it's something that is, should we say, an eternal outreach. Because what's happening is, by you sustaining this one person, in turn, this one particular person is going to be sustaining others through what they are doing. And it's just a whole chain reaction of upliftment and empowerment going on. And I absolutely love the idea, because that's what the show is all about.
Absolutely. It's about sharing. When you in the camps, for example, you'll find that when you give a camp, a refugee a tent, they always ensure, well, does the neighbor have? If you're not, rather give the neighbor first before you give me. And the same year, for example, in South Africa, I was talking about these homes I was in South Africa, in the Western Cape, and we were giving out blankets, and we said, we'll give you 3 or 4. He said, no problem, I'll give my neighbor as well. It's about sharing, it's about that spirit, it's about that dignity, like you mentioned. So we want to encourage all the viewers and listeners right now of Salam Media. We just under 2 weeks away from Eid Day. Make your niyyah, sponsor your Qurbani within Qurbani in South Africa, in Africa, in different countries, Mozambique, Malawi, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, Mali, Uganda, Afghanistan, places like Yemen, Rohingya, Palestine, places that we've identified that are in need, but where we already have an infrastructure. We do not have to send teams from here to go there. The infrastructure is in place. Preparation is underway. All you have to do is connect with Amma, and we'll fulfill your niyyah and give you feedback, of course, of your Qurbani, inshallah.
Right. So there's definitely a way of you actually communicating back to those people that have sponsored to say, well, we've done your Qurbani and now you're ready to do the rest. Talk to us about the environments of these people once you walk into those sustainable areas and you see these people that you've sustained initially now having to go out and sustain others. Does it not just give you such should we say, a sense of fulfillment, knowing that this chain reaction is making such differences in many directions?
There's so many examples of that in different regions that we're working. Alhamdulillah. And again, it's not, we are just tools in the process. It's not because of us that person is being sustained. It's through the mercy of Allah, through the generosity of donors. And we are just tools in the process. And Allah always uses us as tools in this process. But many examples, whether it's in the camps, for example, whether it's in the villages of Africa or South Africa, where people are empowered, they beyond just the nourishment of the meal or the warmth of a blanket. They're empowered through going through life because they're receiving the support, and they're able to receive now an education. Because remember, once you take care of the food and the shelter, people can now focus on education. So we have many examples. I'll give you one example of people that have gone through the education process, and now reached, studied internationally, received their degrees, and now own private practices, and in giving back to others as well. Oh, but that's just one example on a different level. On a smaller level, in the camps that we work in, many of the people that receive support say, I want to join you in helping my fellow people. Whether it's giving out something, whether participating in the efforts, whatever that is, let me join you in those efforts. And sometimes these people don't have much to give, but man, they got time, or they got whatever little they have, they're willing to share that as well. And that's where the sustainability comes back again. Remember, in these villages in Africa, we do boreholes and water wells and masjids and Islamic centers. So it's about Qurbani being done at the masjid that's sponsored by a donor. At this Islamic center and masjid, this person is receiving education, is going to school. So he receives education, he grows big, he gets access to water, he's able to further his studies, get married, give back to his village. That's what the Qurbani process is, part of a bigger picture.
It's so much deeper, because what's happening is through these types of environments that you're creating, there's a chain reaction of upliftment going on, as I said before, but it's also about educating people and creating the awareness from AMA to us, the listeners, the viewers, and the communities out there, to say these are the types of people that need that. And by you giving it, it's not just giving a handout as such, because a lot of the times we'll go out and we'll give a hamper to somebody and think, okay, well, that's what we've done. But they're going to need it real soon. It doesn't last forever. But the sustainability, I think, is an absolutely amazing project. And if our listeners are out there, I want to tell them to actually support you in many directions, because sustainability is something that is an ongoing thing, and it's not a process where you've given once off. So it's a sidqa that's also just going on forever, which is amazing. So talk to us about the pricing structure and, of course, how we can support AMA.
Yeah, you're right. Nafeesa, the pricing structure we're supporting where we're doing Qurbani in different countries. In South Africa, for example, 2,400 Rand per share. I mean, whatever I'm going to share with you now is available on our website or on our social media pages. 2,400 Rand per share in South Africa. Across Africa, in Mozambique, Malawi, Mali, Uganda, Lesotho, it's 1,500 per share. In Afghanistan, Yemen, and Rohingya, it's 3,000 Rand. Palestine, 6,150 Rand. We can understand why, because of the situation there. But people are in need. We can never forget that. Sometimes, so that's the situation in Palestine, and of course Lebanon and Syria, 4,000 Rand a share. Look, it's quite a bit of information to digest over the air. But go to our website, go onto social media, contact our offices. Our offices are open 7 days.
Give us the email, the addresses that people can go to, and then have a look at your site and get more information about this.
If you go into our website on your search engine, rather type in the full website, www.africamuslimsagency.co.za. Don't just type in the words. It may lead to another organization. Rather type in the full email website address. Make sure you are on the African Muslims Agency website, and you'll find the full pricing there, or you'll get all the details on our Instagram page at African Muslims Agency. You'll find the contact numbers there, the bank account details. You'll also find a form. It's a NIA form, and I've got it in front of me, so I don't know if the viewers can see it, but it has firstly the pricing on it. At the back, you can write your NIA with the details. On the day of Eid or on the day of slaughter, we will then confirm back to you your Qurbani that is complete, no matter where it's happening in the world, whether it's in Yemen or in South Africa or in Africa. We'll confirm that back to you once it's complete, inshallah.
How important do you think it is for people to start realizing the importance of empowerment and sustainability? Because this is what we're talking about this morning. I mean, if we're uplifting somebody, I want our listeners outside to understand that instead of giving that once off, how important it is to support a sustainability project, because that's what it's about. That's what we're talking about, ongoing giving, not just once off.
I like to think of it differently. There's two aspects to this, Nafeesa. One is, what does it mean to the people who are receiving the sustainable project? If I take, for example, a water well, let's say a water well. So, if you put a water well in a village in Africa, for example, that water not only quenches one is it takes away the fear of walking through a crocodile-infested river to fetch water. Secondly, it allows your children to receive an education, because now they no longer have to walk every day to fetch water. So you're giving back education to a child in Africa because putting a water well. But the other aspect is, now that the water aspect is taken care of, what can that person focus on? They have the time now to focus on schooling, to receiving an education. That's the empowerment we're talking about.
That's what I was reaching out to, because for us, it's not, as you were saying, it's not just about the Qurbani. It's about African Muslim Agency on the whole, trying to create this holistic environment of upliftment. So it's not just one aspect of it. Basically, what is happening is you're defining the needs of the people in that particular areas, and then going out there and creating those support structures based on the needs. Because as we know, every community or country that you go into, their needs are different.
Absolutely. And for example, in Qurbani, the people, I was there in the villages, seeing the people looking after the animals. This is like weeks before Eid, looking after the animals because they know Eid is coming. But you also see them learning about why it's important. You never want it to be that you're just giving them meat and they know each day is a day of free meat, and they never understand why they're doing it. So the empowerment is also educational. Understanding why this is happening, and make them part and parcel of this. So they know now they've received money for their goats, for example. They know now, okay, I can go buy more goats. When I buy more goats, I can sell those goats from my home. So I'm I'm sustaining my home longer. Whereas before, I wouldn't have that. Now I'm receiving money for my goat. I'm keeping my goat for Eid, so I'm still making my Eid. I'm still slaughtering as well, but I've got more money now to buy more goats, which means I can go buy, I can, so you uplifting that standard of that home or that hut, or that, and that way the villages are uplifted as well.
Most definitely. And one imperative question is, a lot of the times people will turn around and say, we're going through COVID-19. It's so difficult. Can they give back in time instead of just with of course a monetary value? And I'm always saying to them that even if a 50 rand goes a long way.
Absolutely. We always encourage, always, besides your sadaqah and your zakah and your din, Allah reward you for that. Allah grant you more than what you give. But give us your time as well. Join us in the field. And join us and come see and see. Our aim is always to bring the near and the need close to each other.
Most definitely.
You asked the question earlier. The question mark is never about the need. Allah doesn't need me to change it. Allah doesn't need you. Doesn't need any of us to change that need. But Allah gives us the opportunity to participate in this process, and in that process, people are benefiting. But Allah doesn't need us to make it such that those people benefit through us. He's just giving us the opportunity. And Qurbani is, yes, we have an obligation to do it.
And I agree with you. We're actually the mediums, as they call us. We're the mediums that have been given a purpose in this world to realize that there's better things that we need to do, and we need to realize the essence of life. And one of it is giving back in many directions. And based on that, I want to, from myself and on behalf of the team, commend you and your team for, I think, the most phenomenal, amazing work that you have been creating over the years to be able to uplift, empower, and sustain. And we've seen it in many directions, not just in one particular area, but many countries as such. And the support structures that you've created out there are absolutely amazing. So we're telling our listeners to join the amazing support structures out there and create that sustainability through you. But definitely some phenomenal work, Hussain. Allah bless you in many directions and give you the strength to be able to carry on further, to be able to make many differences in many other lives, as you have been doing in the past and in the present.
Nafeesa, to your du'as. Allah keep us with humility, sincerity. Allah accept the efforts of everybody involved in every organization as well. Allah bless them in their efforts, because the need out there is great. And Allah bless you and your team for the studying work that you do, and of course being a medium and giving us the opportunity to share in the world with what we do. And through that, you're also part of the process, and Allah reward you in abundance.
Ameen, and that's what it's about. It's us creating these, should we say, unified structures together to be able to reach out to those that are in the most dire need at this point in time. And as we know, with the third wave, it has gotten a whole lot worse. And we're hoping that we can reach out to many people as we can through this sustainability project. But we want to ask you what message you'd like to leave us with this morning.
We talk about the third wave, but we know how many families have been affected. Sometimes people, usually we'll go to a farm and choose our animal. People might not be in the space to do that right now. So when I encourage you, just go into Africa Agency, contact us 24 hours, 7 days a week. We can assist you with the niyyah, fulfilling your Qurbani this year, inshallah, whether it be in South Africa, in Africa, or in Afghanistan, or Palestine, or anywhere else in the world, in Rohingya as well. We can assist you with that. Allah reward you in abundance, to keep you all safe and accept from you all, inshallah.
Ameen. Jazakallah so much. Jazakallah so much for joining us this morning and inspiring us to actually get in touch with AMA. And we're telling our viewers today, get in touch with AMA and help create that sustainability, upliftment, and empowerment. And the reason I'm saying this again is because we need to understand the imperativeness and the deeper meaning behind all of that. So Jazakallah so much, and inshallah, all the best going forward. And you do definitely have our support with Africa Muslims Agency, and we're wishing you nothing but the best. And of course, do stay safe during this very difficult period.
Amin. تقبل الله منا ومنكم وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Hussain Choonara from Africa Muslims Agency, giving us an idea of how to create that sustainability. And I think that's what it's about, is it to change the idea of where we've been looking at, to say, I'm making a hamper a day and I'm going to go and give it to somebody. But how can we sustain them so that they in turn can sustain others? And we're going to create should we say, a chain of empowerment and upliftment. And that's what it's all about. Stay with us. We'll be back with you in a moment.